This video is for parents and athletes who are going to be running cross country at Holy Family this fall. Let's start off with some cross country history. Cross country as we know it today originated in England during the mid-19th century. Foot races, however, can be dated back to ancient times and is arguably one of the oldest sports in history. Cross country, commonly abbreviated with an XC or a CC, no one really knows the official abbreviation, is defined as a race in which teams and individuals will run on an open-air course over natural terrains such as mud, dirt, grass, mud, trails, mud, gravel, and did I mention mud? Cross-country meets are usually made up of at least 2 teams. However, our CYO meets will have many more teams. Teams are scored on how well their members place overall in the meet, meaning first place gets 1 point, second place runner will get 2 points, third place runner will get 3 points, and so on. Scoring usually goes off of the first 5 finishers so that team size is not a factor. Points are then added up and the team with the lowest scores wins, kind of like golf. We've got a few goals as a team that we try to accomplish here at Holy Family each season. Goal 1 is to have fun. Cross country has always been a fun and positive environment at Holy Family. If we're not having fun, then we're doing something wrong. We work hard throughout the season, but we also have a lot of fun as well. Goal 2 is to teach the fundamentals of running and cross country. During my running career, I've met a lot of adult runners who have said that they wish they started running at a younger age. Not only is running a lifelong sport one can enjoy, getting an early start in running can be really beneficial to youth runners. CYO is very rare, and where kids as young as 3rd grade can start competing. Goal 3 is the PR, which also stands for personal record. A personal record is the best time someone has ran in a particular distance. We try to help the athletes push themselves to do the best they can and to beat their PR each season. Goal 4, teamwork. I love the saying that teamwork makes the dream work. I know it's a bit corny, but it's also very true. Cross country by nature is a very individual competition, but the teamwork component is very important as well. Teamwork is very critical to the positive and supportive environment we have here at Holy Family Cross Country. Teamwork might be helping another athlete during a practices and feeling the best that day, to cheering on another teammate in the final stretches of a very hot race. Let's talk about when and where practices are going to be. We usually start practicing in early August when it's very hot and humid. The season goes until about mid-October when the days are much shorter and the temperatures can be a lot cooler. It's important to keep an eye on the weather as we progress throughout the season. Things like water and clothing are going to be pretty important along the way. Practices are going to be on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 6:30 to 7:45 until the days start getting shorter and the sun sets earlier. Then we'll be ending practice at 7:30. Our optional Saturday practices will be from 8 to 9. These practices go until we have our first meet, which is usually about the end of August or the beginning of September. Practice locations will be at Silver Springs Park and Hudson Springs Park. We also have some special practices like our handles run and our infamous s'mores run. These runs can be a lot of fun, so make sure you don't miss those practices. The up-to-date practice schedule can always be found on the website here. I also send out a weekly email with locations and further details about the practices that week. So what should you wear and bring to each cross-country practice? It's no secret that the weather in Ohio can be pretty unpredictable, to say the least. 2 things we can guarantee is that we're gonna have some bad weather at times, and the weather at the beginning of the season is going to be nothing like the weather at the end of the season. Tech-type clothing is not mandatory, but you do want to stay away from cotton whenever possible. Cotton is really good at soaking up the water and sweat and getting really heavy. You also want to make sure your athlete has some water bottle with water or sports drink in it. The water bottle should be about 16 to 24 ounces in size. Anything larger than that is just ammunition for a water fight. We also have drinking fountains available at each of the practice locations. Just make sure you want to label all of the equipment to make sure it gets home. You want to label everything. So let's talk about the equipment. Shoes. You're going to need a good pair of running shoes. These shoes are what your athlete will wear for most practices and possibly the meets. I do recommend going to an actual running store and getting properly fitted for a pair of shoes. We've got some great running stores in the area, so just grabbing a pair of shoes off that sales rack from the larger athletic store can lead to problems. Just head into one of those running stores and tell them that you're with Holy Family Cross Country. They'll get you squared away and they'll even give you a good discount. One of the biggest questions I get is, do I need spikes? Where I typically tell folks that younger runners don't necessarily need them. They won't hurt from having them either. Remember all that mud I mentioned earlier? However, once a runner gets to 5th or 6th grade, I do highly recommend them. When you get a pair, remember you're going to need 3-inch spikes. So you also want to pick up some extra spikes to replace the ones in the shoes when they fall out, and also get an extra wrench as well, though it's going to come in handy. A lot of our practices, we're going to be doing time-based runs and not a set distance. Wearing a watch during that workout can help the athletes gauge where they are during the workout. You don't need a fancy GPS running watch, just a standard digital watch with a chronograph function is just fine. Meets. After a month of practices, we're going to have our first meet. A schedule of those meets are listed on the website along with the directions to each meet. Meets are either going to be on Saturdays or Sundays, either at 10 a.m. on Saturdays or 1 p.m. on Sundays. We meet as a team 1 hour before each meet to get organized, set up, and then the team walks the course to allow the athletes to get familiar with any hills or mud along the way. Once the meet starts, they will be broken down into 5 races. The first race is 7th and 8th grade girls who will race for 2 miles. Second will be the 7th and 8th grade boys who will also race for 2 miles. 5th and 6th grade girls will go next for 1.5 miles, followed by the 5th grade and 6th grade boys for 1.5 miles. Then the last race are the 3rd and 4th boys and girls together for 1.5 miles. Each race takes about 20 minutes to run. There's also time required in between each of the races to get set up and to prepare for the next race. So needless to say, a cross-country meet can take several hours. It's a good idea to bring a chair and some sunscreen and a snack for your athlete. We also ask that you stay until the end of the meet so that each grade has fans cheering for them during the race. And trust me, cheering makes a huge difference to the runners while they're out on the race course. All right, so what should we wear during the meet? The uniform is very important to a meet. You'll be issued a race top, also known as a singlet. You will need to find an all-black pair of shorts. Everything else your runner wears needs to be black no matter what. Remember, solid black, like Johnny Cash. You'll also notice that I said under the uniform. No matter what, the singlet and shorts must be worn as the top layer of whatever your athlete is wearing during that meet. You can wear anything underneath it, but remember it needs to be solid black. These are the rules, and race officials will not allow a runner to compete if they do not have the correct uniform. So as a parent, what can you expect along this season? First, you're more than welcome to come out and join us in any of the practices and run with your athlete. You don't have to be a coach to do this. However, if you are interested in coaching, contact me directly, and I'll be glad to discuss that with you. Volunteers. There will be times where we call for volunteers during practices or meets, or even the help with the end of the season banquet. The more volunteers we have, the easier it is. Photos. So along the way, you're going to get some good photos of your athletes and the other children running as well. Hold on to those. I'll actually send out an email later in the season asking for any good photos, and then we'll put those in the slideshow at the end of the season banquet. The kids love it, and it's a really good time. Just the last few things before the season starts. First, if you haven't done it already, make sure to get all of your CYO forms, your physical, and your fees into the Holy Family Parish Rectory as soon as possible. Second, be sure to fill out the online athlete form. This helps us, the coaches, get a bit more information about your athlete, such as the shirt size, to help get uniforms and get the season started. Be sure also to sign up for the text messages. Email is great, but sometimes it isn't the best way to get a last-minute email out that practice is canceled or a storm is coming. To sign up to receive these text messages, just text the @ HFSXC to the number 81010. You may sign up for as many phones as you like to receive these messages. All the information that I've discussed in this video can also be found here on the website at any time. And last, thank you for having your child participate in Holy Family Cross Country. There's a lot of great sports and activities out there to choose from, and you chose Holy Family Cross Country. We know sports take up a lot of time with things like driving the practices and watching the meets. Supporting your athlete and the team is a big deal to us, and we really appreciate that. Thank you again. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at practice.